Bear Nation and looky-loos, y'all who are not members of the Bear Nation, you sad, sad souls. I remember when I was but a child. Welcome to the brief, 24 August 22. I'm Bear with BearIndependent.com. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe, ring the little bell icon, that way YouTube can pretend to notify you when we go live and drop new content. If you're not new here, you know what to do. Share the show, give it a thumbs up, evangelize, tell the whole world, hey man, there's this guy in Oklahoma that talks trash at an iPhone about everything that's wrong with the world and how to survive it. Yeah, without all of the overproduced YouTube third-party advertising bull shizzle. I'm gonna try and keep it PG today, but you know, we'll go where the spirit leads. 24 August 22, on Monday, which many of y'all are probably aware, Dr. Anthony Fauci announced, quote, "I will be happily led to the rock pile by members of the Bear Nation, where I will repent before receiving multiple high-speed doses of lead." No, that's not what he said. Sorry, I was imagining there for a moment. He said, quote, "I will be stepping down from the position of Director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, and Chief of the NIAID Laboratory of Immunoregulation, as well as the position of Chief Medical Advisor to President Joe Biden." I'll tell you what, when I think of medical advice, man, there's not a person I can come up with more so than Dr. Anthony Fauci. I'm like, you know, Doc, I got a bit of the sniffles. What do you think I should do? You know, I'm feeling a little rough, low-grade fever, body aches. He's like, how about some experimental drugs that may or may not be directly related to biowarfare, that may or may not be directly related to like illicit laboratories that we built all over the world? By the way, how do you feel about China collusion? Do you like bats? Are you good to go? Just stick this thing twice into your arm and then do this other thing. And by the way, myocarditis, likely, highly likely. Do you enjoy living? Because too bad, not gonna happen. Also, all of my friends think that global depopulation is a really good idea, and I just happen to be in charge of trillions of dollars of taxpayer money, and I do things that never happened in places that don't exist, but you can totally trust me. I'm like, cool, I was thinking about taking some Motrin and getting some rest, and no, negative. That's not gonna cut it. Fever's at 99. Oh my gosh, you need to get to the hospital immediately. Make sure you wear your mask while you're there and stick this damn thing into your arm, because otherwise you are literally a domestic terrorist, because you're super spreading this horrendous, deadly, low-grade flu to the entire population. By the way, while you're at it, we're just gonna shut down the global economy for a couple, 3 years, and literally label you as a domestic terrorist because of your refusal to comply with sound medical advice. No, Doc, I'm gonna nap for a few days, get some fluids in me, probably trade off a little bit of Motrin here, a little bit of aspirin there, maybe some Theraflu, probably some vitamins. No, that's against sound medical advice. Many major sources are celebrating Fauci's career in public service, saving lives, such as President Biden, NPR, and CNN. Notably, December of this year will be right after, when he's retiring, will be right after a potential transfer of control of the House to the Republican Party, which, according to political commentator Mercedes Schlapp, great last name, Schlapp, would bring immediate oversight to the pandemic response and Fauci's gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab. It's funny too, like these are all buzzwords, negative connotation buzzwords. This guarantee, this video, this live stream will get demonetized, if not pulled. That's whatever. And for those that are unaware, the reason that demonetization matters is not because I need the penance that YouTube pays for me showing up and speaking to an iPhone. It's because of the way the algorithm works. The YouTube algorithm works in 7-day cycles, and it takes 10 days to appeal a demonetization. The algorithm also doesn't touch content that's demonetized, meaning it's not suggested content, it's not up next, it's not out there in the algorithmic world for other people to see. It's been demonetized, which means you can only see it if you go looking for it, maybe. And so it's an incredibly effective way to shadow ban people on this platform by demonetizing their content. It's not about the dollars. It's about the lack of algorithmic traction. And like I said, it takes 10 days to appeal demonetization, and the algorithm moves in 7-day cycles. So by the time you appeal it, the algorithm has moved on. Doesn't matter at this point. You didn't get your word out because the big, powerful, scary they, the Council on Foreign Relations sitting in their bunker inside of a mountain in Cheyenne, Wyoming right now, decided that nope, nuke that video, demonetized, or whatever. In fact, many conservatives are suggesting that Fauci, stepped down because of the upcoming midterm elections to avoid a potential investigation should Republicans gain ground in the House. Representatives Jim Banks and Andy Biggs tweeted respectively, quote, Republicans must remain committed to holding Fauci accountable even after he steps down to make sure no one in his position ever abuses the public trust again, end quote, and, quote, Dr. Fauci is conveniently resigning from his position in December before House Republicans have an opportunity to hold him accountable for destroying our country over these past 3 years, end quote. Now, I find this interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, I have about as much faith in House Republicans doing their job as I do in House Democrats doing their job. And it creates an interesting out for them to say, well, we were going to investigate him, but he's no longer the acting director. Therefore, we campaigned on this, but we can't actually do it because, don't you understand, he's not the guy anymore. So maybe we can go after the new guy. Well, wait a minute. Didn't the FBI just raid Mar-a-Lago because the former president might have had, and it's going to be interesting to see FOIA requests and what exactly did that warrant look like, might have had some classified material at his private residence. And don't even worry about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and her private email servers, right? That's good to go. No problem there. But yeah, there might have been a couple of file folders that might have had some classified information in it, which, by the way, the president, not the Secretary of State, but the president is a classifying authority. So he gets to decide what's classified and unclassified or / declassified. That might have happened. Maybe. Therefore, we got to swarm a couple dozen FBI agents into Mar-a-Lago, even though he's the former president of the United States of America. That's all good to go. But we can't prosecute Fauci when he's no longer director at the NIAID, National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. So you're telling me that the day he leaves office, he's no longer legally accountable for his actions while he was in office? Boy, do I disagree completely with that. Because what's the statute of limitations on murder? Say it with me. There is none. There's no statute of limitation on murder. Thus, Dr. Fauci to the rock pile. Because in the mouths of 2 or 3, let a thing be established, right? How many witnesses are there now that this entire scheme was never on the up and up, that thousands, tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of people have died as a result of taking this experimental serum that in some cases was against their will shot into their arm? If you can jam up Warren Jeffs, the fundamental LDS, air quote, prophet, as an accessory to rape because he presided over marriages with underage girls, because that's what he was originally arrested on before his compound, Yearning for Zion compound in El Dorado, Texas, was swarmed by the Texas Rangers and the FBI. What they got him on was accomplice to rape. He was an accessory to rape. And that dude was doing 10 years before he got a bajillion years for his 73 wives or whatever it is that he had. Why is it that Fauci can't be an accomplice to murder? Oh, I know, right? These are big words. Those are strong allegations, Mr. Bear. Well, the Redeemer of the world, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, said, "You shall know them by their fruits." What did they do? Not what did they say, how did they act, what did they think? What did they do? I think there's plenty of fruit here, and there's plenty of witnesses here to say we should all just take a lovely stroll down Main Street to the big rock pile with our good buddy, Dr. Anthony Fauci. Aside from politics, there are also a few practical updates relevant to the recent Bear Independent reports. The first follows the report of fentanyl pouring across the unsecured border. As a note to parents, rainbow fentanyl has been found in the U.S. It resembles colorful, hard candy and is often laced with meth and animal tranquilizers. We talked about this on Monday. That whole thing, like, don't take candy from strangers, it's always been real, but it's super real right now. Like, I would recommend looking up what rainbow fentanyl looks like and talk to your kids about it, because it can and will that quick kill you. I had that conversation with my kids Monday morning before they got on the school bus. I intend to have it again today when they get off the school bus, because repetition, right? I think it's the average human being has to hear something a minimum of 8 times before it sticks. Yeah. How many of y'all have kids? Tell your kid 12 times, clean your room. Go look at their room. Is it clean? Nah. And a dirty room might piss you off, but it's not going to kill them. Rainbow fentanyl will kill them. It'll kill you too. Don't touch it. It's like literally that bad. Don't touch it. Alarmingly, one statement described the pills tested in a lab as, quote, a batch that appeared to be children's chewable vitamins, end quote. Experts believe younger users are being targeted. Reports indicate that some of the fentanyl pills seized at the border have also resembled hard candy. Health Department officials in Multnomah County, Oregon, that is not a word a white man came up with. Multnomah, that sounds like... hell, I don't even know what y'all call yourselves now. First Peoples, First Tribes, American Indians, Native Americans. I'm a quarter Cherokee, Choctaw, and Creek, and I can't keep up with what the nomenclature is, okay? So to all my red brethren out there, pick a name. What are we labeled as now? I don't know. Shoot me an email and let me know so I can get it right. But Multnomah County certainly sounds like a word that a red man came up with, not a white man. Multnomah County, Oregon, and I'm in Oklahoma. I'm allowed to say that because Oklahoma literally in Choctaw means land of the red people. Yes, that's what it means. Multnomah, Oregon warned it only takes 2 milligrams of fentanyl, about the weight of a few grains of salt, to cause a fatal overdose, end quote. The second update follows the report concerning supply chain strikes across the globe. As the school year begins, another relevant concern may be inflation-caused strikes and a general lack of staffing within the education system. Teachers already suffer from about a 20% pay gap compared to similarly educated and experienced workers in other industries. If current inflation results in extraordinary staffing issues and walkouts, it can impact parents' abilities to work due to a lack of childcare, just like in 2020. Thus heavily impacting the bottom line for many. Essentially, if teachers can't afford to come to work, they're not gonna. If enough teachers don't come to work, there's gonna be nobody to staff the school. There's not gonna be a school. And we can argue, we can debate the merits of public school versus private school versus homeschool. And I'm a big proponent of homeschool. The reason my kids aren't currently homeschooled is, truth in advertising, I'm not that good at it. It's actually a lot more work than a lot of people make it out to be, and I'm not that good at it. And this is important to understand, the reason we began homeschooling our kids was because of the stupidity that was occurring during the age of COVID. I was like, we're not going to pretend that abnormal is normal with my kids. They're not going to go to school wearing masks. They're not going to deal with, plexiglass dividers. They're not going to Purell their hands 36 times in a day. They're not going to socially distance. How do you do that with a kindergartner? Hey, socially distance. When all they want to do is like hug people and love on people and play on the playground and, sit next to somebody and color and paint. It's like, no, that you're breaking the humanity in that child. I'm not doing that. And so we did homeschool. And we made it through. I'm not going to say it was a huge success, but we made it through. Because it does take time, it takes diligence, it takes intentionality, which we were struggling with because we were also running multiple businesses and ministries during the global pandemic as well. And so we muddled through. And then when the school quit doing the dumb stuff it was doing, because our school is a good school filled with good teachers, without critical race theory, without Marxist ideologies, that prays before school and prays at, basketball games, football games, baseball games, softball games, where the teachers and the students go out of their way to be good human beings. Cost benefit analysis, it was decided. And some of my children's teachers watch this show. How crazy is that, right? So shout out to y'all. We decided, okay, things have returned to normal-ish. We're okay, cost benefit analysis with y'all going back to school. But if we ever approach abnormal again, you're not going back. We're going to pull you back out again because we're not going to call abnormal normal. We're not going to allow the Overton window to shift. Because at some point, see, what we tolerate, they will embrace. Because at some point, I'm going to have grandkids, and my children are going to be raising those grandkids. And what they have learned is normal. If they learn that abnormal is normal, they will perpetuate that on my grandchildren. And that's no good. That's no good. Raise them up in the way that they should go so they do not depart from it when they are older. That's Torah, right? Proverbs. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Right. So the effects that I have need to trickle down to my grandkids at a minimum. So all that to say, it's possible that there's a return to abnormalcy here because of teachers' strikes and or the inability for teachers to actually get to work and perform work because there was already a 20% pay gap between teachers and everybody else who's similarly educated, works similar hours. Now you add in a labor shortage amongst educators. It's possible that there's a lack of people, enough of a lack of people within the education system that they can't actually run the school. And then what happens? Parents who are probably already working 2 jobs just trying to make ends meet because they're dealing with their own inflationary issues now have these kids that they got to take care of as well. And we can argue the merits of you should be taking care of your kids in the first place. I don't disagree with that. Now square that with 1 Timothy 5 verse 8. He who does not work has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. So you also got to go to work. How does that work out, right? And so all of that introduces even more uncertainty into the failing economic model that we currently have. Now, I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to think about that because I have to go pee on one of these pine trees. So stand by. Okay, brother, standing by. All right, good talk, everybody. see you, canned succotash. Your comment was right here. 1,400 of y'all. What's up, Tubbs? Doug Bucher. What's up, Doug Bucher? It's been a hot minute. My kids are learning to work while they homeschool. Bear Roots Homestead. All right, I'm coming back. Stand by, y'all. Morning, PLS 5577. Bear, did you wash your hands? What's up, Rocklick? No, because I know where my junk has been and urine is sterile. All right. Already, teachers in the largest school district in Ohio have just gone on strike. Only 3 weeks ago in Panama, teachers ended a month-long strike that set off a chain reaction in other sectors, blocking traffic and commerce in the capital. For Panama, the educator walkout blew up in what is now called the largest social protest in years. And that's the brief. You know, we need to be careful making broad statements because there's always outliers, right? Like saying that like all Democrats are bad and all Republicans are good. Like I can find excellent people that I know that are Democrats and I can find legitimate scumbags that identify as conservatives. Well, generally speaking, public school's the devil and everybody should be homeschooled. I can find lots of excellent public schools and lots of terrible, and I mean legitimately terrible, homeschooling situations. You have to be careful making those broad statements. It's easy. The reason that they're made is because they're easy, because that allows us to come to some level of certainty on a subject and then therefore write it off. Now I don't have to think about it anymore. I don't have to worry about the nuance of the individual within that statement that I just made. Like, we're good parents. We're bad homeschooling parents. Me and my wife. We know this. My kids are brilliant. They're all smart. They're all taking classes that are, higher level classes, a year or two ahead than everybody else in their grade. They're smart. They participate in extracurricular activities. They're respectful. They're diligent. They're good kids. They're jewels in the crown that the Father Yah has given me, right? They're excellent young people. That's part of why, we take it so seriously that they go to a good school. And that's part of why I'm so happy that the school is not undoing the good work that we're doing here, raising them up in the other facets of their life. If the school was undoing the good work that we're doing here, our kids wouldn't be there. So there's some nuance to that conversation. It's just something I want to point out. And it's also really worth discussing. Homeschooling's not easy. It is if you've been doing it for 20 years. And I'm not saying don't homeschool, just understand what you're getting into. And it also, homeschooling can look, there's 1,000 different ways that it can look. It really depends on you and your child or children and what you want to learn and how you want them to learn. Again, part of the challenge for us is my kids are smart. They're super smart. They need to be engaged. If they're not engaged, they're kind of like puppies, right? If you don't have them doing something, they're gonna piss on the floor and chew on the couch. They're gonna get into trouble. And so you kind of end up babysitting just as much as you do teaching. And that's not a strong suit for me. Not that there weren't upsides as well. You get to spend a lot more time with your kids. You get to make sure you know exactly what they're being taught and how they're being taught. And if you're a person of faith, that's really important as well. To be able to point out the Father's hand at different points in history and with different scientific methodologies. It's super cool. So my point is, it's a nuanced conversation. And as much as it's easy to make blanket statements and many cases comfortable to make blanket statements, it rules out the outliers. Now, if you're on Patreon, you have the links to the brief today, all the articles that we discussed. If you're not on Patreon, you don't. So I appreciate the patrons. Thank you for supporting the show. We had an awesome, almost 3-hour-long Patreon-only live stream last night because I will be otherwise engaged tomorrow. So there will be no Thirsty Thursday live stream tomorrow. And so the decision was made yesterday, should I talk to everybody or talk to just the patrons? And I was like, it's a Patreon night, Patreon only. So that 3 hours of content is up on Patreon from yesterday. This morning we had, what did I post this morning on Patreon? Let's just go look. The Dickens drill posted this morning on Patreon as well. So you can check that out. There's a link in the description of every video, every live stream. It's $5 a month. That's like less than a can of chewing tobacco, less than one cigar. That's like less than one caramel macchiato from Starbucks, or one pack of cigarettes, or it's a third to a quarter of a bottle of wine, per month. So, maybe you want to invest in your survivability for the future. Cool. Patreon.com. Search for Bear Independent, or hit the link in the description. Now, if you're one of those people that does not want to know, you just simply don't care about Refuge Medical, Refuge Training, Grindstone Ministries, how to support the show, this is your opportunity to go ahead and just jump off of here. I wish you the best. Have a blessed day, but get out of here because we're fixing to talk about some stuff that you don't care about. If you're not one of those people, let's talk about Refuge Medical. Actually, first let's talk about bearindependent.com. There are the best words. I think two bear knives left at bearindependent.com. 2 of them. So, if you've ever seen the bear knife on camera, there's 2 of them left there. We did an early release of those on Patreon. They bought all but 2. So there's 2 of them left there. If you want one, go check it out. They typically don't last very long. So under 24 hours, they've been on the store right now. And there's 2 left. So go check those out. Also, we have a brother that owns a coffee company. And I know there's lots of memes out there. Yes, I'm looking at you, Dustin. Dustin Mascaro, I think is how you pronounce your last name. Formerly of... and here's another thing, guys. I don't even know what you call yourself anymore. Mike Shelby. Is it out front? Is it gray zone activity? Is it forward observer? Who are you? And what did you do? Like, I watch Mike Shelby at forward observer, at gray zone activity / out front. I don't know. I would fix that pretty quick, homie. Like, get some homogenized branding going on there, because I don't know what to call you, which is difficult because if I want to refer people to you, that's going to make it harder for them to find. But anyway, Dustin used to be on that show. He now has his own YouTube channel and podcast. What is that called? I was just listening to it this morning. Library. Active Measures with Dustin Mascaro, right there. See that? Active Measures. So, if you missed the sound of Dustin's voice, go check him out. He's got good information. He always used to say, yeah, we're not sponsored by any coffee companies around here. We're not sponsored by any coffee companies either. We have our own blend at disastercoffee.com, the Bear Blend, and I like it very much. And if you want to try it, you can find it at disastercoffee.com. We also have a brother who started putting 20 pounds of green coffee beans in Mylar in a bucket with a coffee roaster for your long-term SHTF coffee needs. And so if that sounds like something you're interested in, if you just need to buy a few buckets of coffee and squirrel them away amongst your other preps, it's already in sealed Mylar. It's already in the bucket. It's got the roaster in it. It's good to go. It's from Moose Run Coffee Company, and they're at bearindependent.com in the store right now. You can find those as well. And they're legitimately, their coffee's excellent. And I'm the kind of guy that'll drink instant Folgers with a smile on my face. So this stuff is like heavenly. So RM, Refuge Medical, the vast majority of all the things are in stock right now. So if you need a single standalone tourniquet, you can get one under the components page at Refuge Medical. If you need a bear fac, we got them. They're in stock. SOBs, small of the back kits, in stock. ARCs, advanced rip-away kits. I think we still have a few of those left. Adventure kits, in stock. Smash and crash for your vehicles, in stock. Bleeding control kits, under $60 with a tourniquet, a pressure bandage, wound packing gauze, shears, gloves, the whole nine. Under $60, the bleeding control kits, in stock. Modules, airway, respiratory, gauze module, all of that. Got all that stuff. Stomp bags and mass casualty kits in stock. It's all at Refuge Medical. Handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. If you break it, not only will I replace it at no cost to you, no questions asked, I'd love to know how you broke it so we can make it better for next time. If you use your kit to save somebody's life, not only will I replace all the components that you used at no cost to you, I want the after action report of what you did to save that person's life so we can put you on our wall of fame and so that we can get real after action reports on the usage of our kits. There's 51 people who are still alive that we know of because of Refuge Medical. That's tremendously badass. So, also, all that stuff is HSA and FSA approved. So if you got some FSA or HSA money burning a hole in your pocket, you can spend it on stuff that matters at refugemedical.com rather than getting another cheap Chinesium kit from our competitors. I've been advised that I have to be careful not to slander other people, but this is not slander. I have bought with my own money. My Medic stuff, I have a My Medic versus Bearfac video on this channel. It's garbage. In my professional opinion, it's garbage. And it costs as much as the Bearfac does. I don't know how many lives the My Medic Advanced kit has saved, but I know that the Bearfac is over 4 dozen. Because the Bearfac's not a boo-boo kit. There's no rape whistle in the Bearfac. There's no 20-foot of paracord because it's also trying to be a survival kit. There's no glow stick. There's none of that nonsense that's been thrown in there to give you, 256-piece kit. Well, I don't care if there's 256 pieces if they're all garbage and or useless. I don't need a big boo-boo kit. I need a trauma kit that's going to save somebody's life. And that's what the Bearfac is. So, anywho, you can check that out, refugemedical.com. Refuge training is in Philadelphia today. And training some awesome people up there. If you need to come to class, there's, to learn the fine art of how to not die. There's classes in Waco and Dallas, so check those out. And lastly, Grindstone Ministries, man. Thank you for supporting what we do at Grindstone. If you think it's a bad deal when children get serially raped and you want to do something about that on the restoration and rescue side, check us out. grindstoneministries.com. We couldn't do what we do without you. And I hear all the time from people, well, somebody should do something about that. You're somebody. You are somebody. I have a call this afternoon with a guy in Ohio who wants to build a restoration facility there. Guys, I don't do consulting calls anymore. I stopped. I fired all my clients. It was robbing me of my joy. I stopped. But I want to talk to this guy because if I can help him get another care facility up off the ground in Ohio, praise Yah. That's awesome, right? But somebody's got to do something about this. Cool, you're somebody. I'm somebody. He's somebody. We're all somebody. Do something. Even if that something is, I know about something bad happening, go talk to local law enforcement. We get a lot of people that email us and they're like, I know about this terrible thing that's happening. Can you do something? I'm not in your jurisdiction. I'm not there. Have you contacted local law enforcement? No, I haven't. Contact local law enforcement. Start there. So, anyway, thank you to everybody who supports Grindstone Ministries. There is a link in the doobly-doo down below in the description. It'll take you to grindstoneministries.com. There's the opportunity to give there if you'd like to. There's also the opportunity to sign up for our newsletter. If you just want to stay abreast of the goings-on with Grindstone Ministries in Caleb House, which is our restoration facility, sign up for the newsletter. That way you know what's going on. Next construction deployment or disaster relief deployment we do, you'll get an email. The next update we send out on Caleb House, you'll get an email. And so that's how to stay plugged in with all that. And gosh dang, I love every one of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, because we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. To do an extraction, to go in and get people and bring them out. You could buy a new pickup truck or do an extraction. So money doesn't make the world go round, but it certainly doesn't hurt either. And I'll end with this. There's a lot of people that have demonized wealth. Money's the root of all evil. No, that's horseshit. The love of money is the root of all evil. How do you square that? If money's the root of all evil, how do you square that with the parable of the talents? Oh, well, what he was talking about was, the talents that God has given you. Yeah, that's applicable. But A, don't put words in God's mouth. B, talents were money. In fact, he literally says it to the guy who had one talent and buried it in the ground. You could have put it in the bank and at least given me my money back with interest. So it's 100% about money. And the reason for that is that if you have wealth, however you define wealth, whether it's an extra $100 in your bank account this month or it's an extra 100,000 in your bank account this month, wealth becomes the tool that you use to do good works. Because everything costs money. It's just a matter of how you choose to spend that money. Do I build another AR-15? Do I buy a yacht? Do I buy a convertible I don't need? Or do I do an extraction and go into a really bad place and F up some really bad people and take some children out of a situation where they're getting abused every day and put them back on the path of a new life? It's like, yeah, so we should all get off our friggin' high horses about wealth and money. Because without wealth and money, that doesn't happen. It's just a good idea fairy party without the ability to actually execute. And to execute takes money. And so yeah, I'm an unapologetic capitalist. But I'm an unapologetic capitalist to the point that it generates the revenue that allows me to do what I want to do. And what I want to do is do the works that put a smile on the Father's face. I can't help other people if I'm not strong. Can't do it. Grindstone can't help other people if we're not strong. Caleb House can't help other people if we're not strong. And so it's not all about money. It's about the good works, but the good works don't happen without the money, man. And that's just a fact. And everybody who puts being poor up on a pedestal, you're doing yourself and the country a disservice. We shouldn't worship money. Man cannot serve Elohim and Mammon, right? Mammon being the false god of wealth. I'm not trying to serve Mammon, but I understand how this game is played, called life. Well, let's feed the poor and clothe the needy. Okay, how are you going to do that? Money. Somebody should go rescue those kids. Money. We need a place to take care of them. Money. I want to build wells in Africa. Money. It's not money that's the problem. It's the heart condition that allows people to take the money that they have and do bad works with it. That's the problem. It all comes back to heart condition. Money's just a tool in the toolkit. That's all it is. It's a means to an end. And there's a big, and I don't understand it quite, other than I think people just want the validation of the situation that they're in. But there's a huge undertone in the preparedness space that you're supposed to be poor and that it's okay that you're poor. And I'm here to tell you it's not. Poor is a mindset. You have accepted the fact that you're supposed to be poor. That's ridiculous. You're not supposed to be poor. You're supposed to bust your ass. Bust your ass and earn. 6 days ye shall labor. 1 Timothy 5 verse 8, he who does not work has denied the faith and is worse than an infidel. There's nothing righteous about being poor. Oops, I said that out loud. Because you're diminishing the ability that you have to serve others. Because you can't even serve yourself. I grew up poor. We had everything but money. We were poor. We knew we were poor. It was very difficult for me to help many people growing up. Even though we cleaned out our pantry on several occasions and gave the food that we busted our ass to put up for the winter to other families who had nothing because they were also poor. I hated that, honestly, until my mom squared me away. Because she was like, look, at some point, we're going to have nothing and we're going to need somebody to help us. And if we don't help them now, they're not going to help us later. Oh, then it started to click. Got it. It's the principle of reciprocity. It's karma. It's the universe. It's a mitzvah. It's good work. The Father sees it and he blesses it. Then it started to click. But I hated being poor. I don't ever want to be poor again. And I've been poor in my adult life as well. I don't ever want to be poor again. And it's not because I want a shiny new pickup truck or I want a yacht. Hell, I've been wanting to replace my fallen down piece of shit barn for 4 years. And I haven't. Because on my list of priorities, it's been more important to do meaningful things like rebuilding somebody's house after a tornado or rescuing children who are being sexually abused than it is to have a midlife crisis, buy a convertible, grow a mullet, and be, driving down the back roads of Oklahoma listening to 80s hair metal. But quit putting poor on a pedestal. That's horseshit. And quit demonizing people who are out there actually trying to get some. You talk about you want to make America great again. How do you think you're going to do that? American small business and manufacturing. And yet you're going to belittle the people that are trying to do that? It takes money to do that. That's capitalism. It's a non-starter. It's ideologically disingenuous. Start rooting for the good guys that are doing good stuff with the money that they're earning through honesty and integrity. Again, back to that nuanced conversation, right? Like, I'm not Disney. I'm not Coca-Cola. I'm not Amazon, and I don't want to be. And if I was to sit down in a room with the board members for those companies, not everybody's walking out of that room by the end of the meeting. We're not going to get along, and that's okay. But how many millions of small business owners are there in the United States of America that are tired of hearing this shit that you've been demonized because you're out there trying to make something of yourself? You should be poor and humble. Kiss my ass. I've been poor and humble. I don't want to do it again. It sucks. And so to the extent that I want to earn so that I can be a blessing to other people. Not for myself. I have everything I need and most of what I want. Like, I don't get to complain, especially when it comes to stuff. But I also need to be able to buy safe houses. I also need to be able to put fuel in trucks. I also need to be able to pay for security. Stuff takes money. I'll get off my soapbox. For all y'all that support us, thank you. I appreciate you deeply. I hope y'all have a happy Wednesday. I gotta go move some sheep. Bless y'all. Shalom.